Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we would dig deeper into Uranus influences that we are experiencing not just in May but all the way from 2018 to 2026. But what's happened this year is that Jupiter has met Uranus in April in Taurus, and that has blown many of these changes and accelerated many of these changes out of proportion. Jupiter and Uranus, they have started a new cycle which will last us over a decade, and that is initiating a change, a beneficial change for us this year, which we are in the middle of. May has multiple planets which are meeting Uranus, and they will emphasize this change, and it will bring some surprises and shifts in our life, but it is essentially accelerating the wave of change that we have all been on since 2018 to 2026 in our self-worth, in our net worth, in our love life, in our choices that we make to get what we want in life. This is Venusian changes that are close to our heart, that are linked to our creative life, that are linked to our love life, that are linked to what we want to create value through and how we want to derive value of our life. So we would go deeper into all of that, and not just me today. My name is Charu. I'm your host on this journey. Let's dig in. Weird is a word that constantly comes to mind when we speak of Uranus as a planet. But in reality, it's the most honest of the planets and the transits that we can go through. Life is overall weird. One's idea of happiness is just very, very different from another. Yet we end up living in these well-defined boxes. You pretend almost that living another person's life is somehow going to make you happy. And we feel that if we get the things that they're doing or just be in their situation, we can have the exact same amount of happiness that they do. But we don't see that they're not living something in order to live what they are living. One never thinks what one is not living in order to live another person's idea of happiness. And Uranus is very, very enlightening to show us where we are doing that in our life. It all comes crashing down on us when Uranus has a transit to any of our personal planets or points. This is one aspect that cuts through the crap, and it shakes our world, and it leaves us totally changed, never ever to be put back together in its old form. There is a reason Uranus is linked to earthquakes. You are peacefully, blissfully, in ignorance, unaware of your own fake life, somehow going on in inertia. And we don't know how weak the foundations of our made-up life is till a Uranus transit strikes us, till it hits us. And it crumbles down very suddenly, yet very honestly, a previous structure of our life. Instead of feeling sad, to some people, yes, sad in terms of letting go an old life, but it's not a sad transit. You feel exhilarated because you feel free. Something inside you feels free when Uranus takes you out from one situation to another. As a higher octave of Mercury, our conscious mind, Uranus actually awakens a desensitized part of our psyche, a part of a psyche that has been buried deep. And we have disconnected with this very authentic part of ourselves due to societal pressures, or in order to live a life, as I said, which everybody is living. Uranus awakens the things that we have put away, and it releases a very, very authentic part of us. Lightning strikes, and it all comes forward to conscious mind from unconscious. With Uranus being in zodiac sign of Taurus, what comes to forward is our actual needs, our actual physical, touch it, feel it, human Venusian desires, which is love, beauty, physical affection, money, luxury. This is truly the awakening of the heart. What I love, what I desire, what brings me comfort, what makes me feel loved, and how I would like to love somebody. What's my definition of beauty? What's my definition of creature comforts? How do I want to look, eat, love, earn, physically manifest? That would be most authentic to who I really am. Does the outside world match who I truly am inside? Does my current life reflect me valuing myself? If I valued myself truly, would I live like this? Are the traditional, outdated values holding me in passive, repressive patterns, never letting me explore all of my senses and all of my desires? Aim is to raise the vibration across these pairs, these Venusian pairs of our life. But the way to it can be sudden. It's not surprise to our subconscious because we in some ways have been asking for this upheaval. But whenever anything hits us in Taurus, in inertia part of our life, there is a little bit of shock value. Some of us have been through it and we would see the next phase of it in May. And for some, lightning would be striking the first time in May with initiation which has happened in April. But for all of us, this is blown out of proportion because of Jupiter being in Taurus. Let's look at some timelines and degrees that Uranus and Jupiter have been touching along with the personal planets. Uranus is an outer planet. To see the actual physical manifestation of its thunderbolt, you actually needed to interact with personal planets. You needed to interact with your personal planets, or in order to experience it through transit, you needed to interact with the transit personal planets. So Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And that is exactly what's happening in May and early part of June. We have been going through this awakening, but in May, because it's meeting these personal planets, you'll see physical manifestations which happen, which will be initiated in some ways by you, as well as some you would feel that you need to go there. There is nothing that can stop you because the old does not exist anymore. Uranus will meet these planets one by one throughout May, with 13th of May, 18th of May, 31st of May being the key exact dates. Although the whole month falls in the category of sudden changes to me. Jupiter met Uranus on 20th of April at 21 degree 50 minutes of Taurus. It started a new 13-year cycle, closing the chapter of whatever ideals we had cultivated from 2011 to 2024. When Jupiter and Uranus meet, the ideals, the knowledge, the higher spiritual values we were living through in the last 13 years of our life, they have to progress forward to match the current times, to match the future in some ways. New growth cycle, it requires new knowledge, it requires new methods, it requires new ideology, it requires new ideals, and there is a steep learning curve of self before we embark upon that change. So the bigger shifts in your life, they might have initiated as a precursor to what we are experiencing in May. The change of our religion. Jupiter represents religion. Jupiter and Uranus meeting is a change of our religion. Change of our higher knowledge, change of our principles that we live our life by. It is an initiation of change. And in some ways, there is a faith in initiation of that change that no matter what, if you have faith in this shift, it will work out. Aim is to expand our higher knowledge. Aim is to let faith in, because in some ways, if you are not in that mindset, you will not let those changes in. The aim is to expand our consciousness, to allow the growth that we would normally never let in, because we are stubbornly holding on to outdated values, outdated monetary systems, outdated way of making money, outdated way of loving, outdated way of self-worth, outdated way of eating, outdated way of global agricultural practices, and the way to treat the physical assets and earth. It denies us from what future holds if we do not change our knowledge sphere, which is Jupiter, if we don't change our ideals, which is Jupiter, and we do not change our mindset about what can happen for us in future. Jupiter is about faith, and Jupiter and Uranus in some ways to me is sudden faith that something different can happen in our life. And I saw that spark initiate in April, and it is not a transit which happens for a moment. 20th of April is the initiation of that transit. It is a 13-year cycle. We are just at the beginning of it. But the next 1 year, this transit will be very potent to expand our attitude towards this shift that we are going towards. It will expand our faith in that change. Uranus will continue to change our physical world. It will continue to change the surface of Earth. It will continue to change the environment of Earth. It will continue to cause volatility in the financial world as it has been causing since 2018, and it will continue till Uranus is in Taurus, which is till 2026. But this phenomena of Uranus meeting personal planets in May, it will accelerate all of these changes. Every year, when Uranus meets the personal planets during Taurus season, we experience that. We become more honest with ourselves. We push us to make physical, actual, tangible changes. And that has been happening every year in Taurus season since 2018. When that specific lightning bolt hits you depends on whether Uranus is interacting with your personal chart or not. Jupiter this year, though, has shifted things for us. Even though this transit has been happening repeatedly since 2018, Jupiter has blown that transit out of proportions. Everything, everywhere, all at once, as it's said. We see that in earth changes. We see that in monetary changes. You might see that in the change in your faith and ideals and the way you go after Venusian things in your life. Over a year, Uranus roughly focuses on 4 degrees to work through. So to personalize this transit, you could look at where do the fixed signs sit in your chart. Fixed signs are Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, and Taurus, of course. So where does, right now, any of those signs, do you have personal planets over there? Do you have points there, specific points there, ascendant, descendant, MC, IC? Do you have any of that there? Due to that, for some people, this would change them in a big way in the year ahead, and it would be the lightning bolt that they asked for, yet they never saw it coming. Uranus focused on 19 degree to 23 degree of Taurus from May 2023 to now. 19 degree to 23 degree of Taurus was the focus of Uranus going back and forth since May 2023 to now. And that would have greatly shifted things for people who have their fixed signs around these degrees, 19 to 23 degree of Taurus, Aquarius, Scorpio, Leo. I would take 2 degrees before and after. Now Uranus is coming back to 23 degree of Taurus, and it's emphasizing that very degree as it's embarking upon its next cycle where they're completing one chapter of change, and now it is embarking upon 23 to 27 degree of Taurus. So the next phase of change would greatly influence 23 to 27 degree of Taurus of fixed signs till May of 2025. So all of us, to some extent, in one or the other area of our life, will experience this current chain of events in terms of timeline, where we stand right now. It though would have started last year around May of 2023 when Uranus first stepped on 19 degree of Taurus, and this was greatly emphasized as it went retrograde in August of 2023. So while from May 2023 to August 2023, we went about the shifts and the changes, whether it is in our net worth, it's in the way we make money, it's in how we value ourselves. We made shifts in how we look, how we earn, how we love, or how much value do we place over our own wants and desires. We did things which were different from norm, May to August of 2023 for some of us. Then from August of 2023 to January of 2024, when Uranus went retrograde on those very degrees, we internally assimilated those changes in our quiet period. That we were making changes internally without saying a word to the external world from August of 2023 to January of 2024. And for some of us, we did not like the changes we made from May to August of 2023, and we wanted to shift our attitude towards that. That period from August of 2023 to Jan 2024 made us look at what needs to shift as a result of lightning bolts and subconscious awakenings that hit us from May to August of 2023. And as the psyche changes, as we make those internal changes, physical changes started manifesting after January 2024. Outer planets just do that at the personal level. They essentially change the way we think and we feel about certain things in our life. And then the physical changes are made by us when those planets go direct. So as we became more aware and more awake till January 2024, what followed from January 2024 was physical reality started shifting. And that has been the cycle of awakening since January 2024 as we complete that chapter. And now the new annual phase of Uranus is being launched during May 2024. This will create new tangible changes, which are sudden, which can be shocking, which can be exhilarating. They can be destructive of faith. They should be destructive of fake. They should be destructive of what's old and weak. And they will be very, very enlightening. We don't like surprises in Taurus part of our life, and that's where surprises are coming. So we have been probably resisting this change. That's why we have Uranus take 1 year to change just 4 degrees of our chart, which can translate to around 18 months of process for individually, for us personally. The sudden change that was slowly in making for past 1 year will continue to evolve over the next 1 year, with us standing in the middle, knowing fully that we cannot just go back. Because once physically you are in the old life, but something internal has changed and shifted, what's repressed inside has been awakened, you can't be standing in an old physical form. You simply cannot go back to status quo. It's Taurus. So what's changing was something that you would want to cling on to because it was valuable, it was a constant, it was easy, it was stable, but it was also dormant and it was possibly not fruitful anymore. It is not in line with the values and growth path that you should be living for future. So it has to be for your own well-being. It has to be released in some way. It has to be changed and shifted in some ways. And that process comes to forth with Sun-Uranus meeting that we're having on Monday, 13th of May at 23 degrees of Taurus. This is a transit. It is said that if you have not been told at least by one person that you're acting weird, you're probably not listening to yourself. You're probably following the societal norms more than listening to yourself. So it is very common for somebody to tell you that you're acting out of your character. Expect the unexpected in name of events, in name of your own vibes, actions, and harness your ability to move beyond what does not serve you, what you don't desire anymore. It's a move to a higher vibration, which requires us to shed the old skin, old ways of operating, old ways of choosing. We can experience surprise or possibly act very rashly because we want to set free of an old pattern. It is essentially a place where not going beyond norm is not an option for you anymore. Because if we don't even accept what's not real, we become our own resistance. You are resisting your own flow if you are not shifting with this transit. And that manifests as trapped current in the body. Uranus is current through our nerves, through our body. And when you're trying to stop that change forcibly because of inertia, lays, or you just don't want to move from point A to point B right now because it's easy what we have right now, and we don't want to accept what we have right now is not going to serve us in the future, you will see it manifest in blockages in your own body. And that's where some amount of anxiety, pressure within our system, blood pressure, short circuit of our body's electric system, nerves, or migraines come from, in my view. But there is anticipation of a change. There's even an excitement of the change. And if we make even a small shift in that direction, it's like the flow starts going through us, the current goes through us, and we feel more alive with it. we like to be calm in this, and it's advised for your own nerves to stay calm and do things. But there is a reason. There's a reason for the calm to not be there. There is a reason that your body is vibrating differently. There is a reason you are being asked to change the tune you are singing. You have to get into a new frequency. Your body, your physical existence has to get into a new frequency. This is both an ending and a beginning. The more we will resist the change of our ways, more it will feel like you're pushing against the current. And we have Jupiter conjunction to look forward to on 18th of May to realize and recognize that this shift is for your own growth. It is for our expansion. It is for our gain. It is because our value system has changed. So while it's all nervy, surprisingly, in some ways, if you would believe me, you would gain more knowledge about yourself objectively during this transit. Because Uranus, in some ways, even though it's bringing these nervy changes, it has an objectivity about it. It's like we float out of our body and look at our life as a third person and see what the hell are we doing. We watch our own chaotic life in some ways. Where are we living fake? Where are we not being truthful? Where are we disassociating ourselves, suppressing our reality and moving forward like without life? And it's an electric shock which happens through an event which has either already happened to you or you're in the process of it, and we are somehow shocked into the current moment to realize and recognize how you truly are feeling. And you are almost shocked as a third person observing it, that why did I not understand the superficiality of what I was living so far? This first stage, in my view, for most of us, has already started. Because Jupiter meeting Uranus, you come to know. You just know the changes internally, even if you have not verbalized it. Internally, you know what you want to do. And we would continue to discover. This is a journey. This is a discovery which is interesting, which is exciting. If you would let yourself flow with it, if you would let yourself go through the change. And we would experience this as Uranus meets each of the personal planet this month. Changes will speed up because now is Uranus moving out of shadow into new degrees, and it is going to move and catch speed all the way till September, when it will stand still. So there's a forward movement of those changes, and those changes will speed up from now to September. That would require us to change certain superficial things that we have been trying to avoid changing in our love life, in our money life, in our physical life, in our diet, in how we look, how we love, all the creative aspects of our life. None of it is undesired. None of it is useless, but many of these changes will be superficial in nature because the depth is added when Uranus goes retrograde from September to January again. That's when the depth will be added, when we'll get a chance to look at why did I do this? Why did I act this impulsively? Why did I suddenly start this? Because the first form of birth from Uranus is sometimes not the great form. It is not the form you want to live because it's an impulsive form. We have some influences, some positive influences, both from Saturn and Jupiter right now. So I'm not saying that everything will be given up what you create right now, but it will go through changes when the retrograde period comes from September to January. Jupiter rewards are many in this process. Jupiter rewards will already be coming for some people who have had faith in this new path for them. Because Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in April, it happened at the degree of spiritual inspiration during crisis. Having faith in what you're going through is for a reason. And with the current Sun conjunct Uranus, it's happening at the degree of social recognition of the faithful. We could receive some rewards for the faithful, for the ones who continue to hone their jewels, continue to work under pressure when no one was watching. They were marinating in this change, in the faith that making this change is going to be the right thing for their life in future. And with coming 18th May, Venus-Uranus conjunction, we can move to the phase of collective enjoyment, where what you have created, who you have become in this phase, the gifts of that can be shared with the larger group. With many communications and surprises to 31st of May, Mercury-Uranus conjunction. The 31st May Mercury-Uranus conjunction usually comes with surprising news, or you surprisingly communicating what you truly want, or what you truly want to say. Uranus can unsettle. It can excite and unsettle at the same time. But it can open a world beyond your imagination. But be ready, because it brings some separations. It's the quality of it. It separates you from what is not serving you, what is not you anymore, because you vibrate at a different frequency. So some things are going to fall off, which are not at your level, which are not at your vibe. 18th May is also when Sun and Jupiter are doing their annual meeting. And that is supposed to be very beneficial for something new, to start something new, to seed something that is beneficial and growth, education related, money related, growth related. And it's the last time that Sun-Jupiter conjunction is happening in Taurus. So I would make use of that 18th of May transit as well. It's followed by 23rd of May, beautiful Venus-Jupiter transit. And 4th of June, Mercury-Jupiter conjunction. As Jupiter is spending its last few weeks in Taurus, it is going to bring certain things to fruition. It will bring some gifts, some Jupiter rewards, some enlightenment, some initiations which are for your growth, which are for your future. But you'll have to move out of your inertia. We'll have to move out of the old. We have to move out of the tried and tested in order to move into that. If you've tried before, it didn't work, don't worry about it. Try again. Now with this new life experience and possible new faith that you now have. But what after all these personal transits are done? What after this May, June transits of Uranus are over? We have Mars in July as well. After the initial phase, when Uranus in Taurus has touched us, there's a tendency to go back to status quo because it's Taurus. So the hair color fades away. The first spark with the crushed eyes down, the creative excitement, it does dull down. The excitement of freedom from quitting an oppressive job fades away. All the Taurus things will come back and move us to planet Earth ultimately. What then? Was it for nothing? Tesla had Uranus on his ascendant. Was his madness for nothing, or did his one idea spark the change how the current flew through us? And how your one idea, one change, one shift in your mindset, it can change the way your life flows. There's a change in our psyche, and that will derive long-lasting permanent changes. But mind you, there will be tendency to go back to inertia, and we'll have to wake ourselves back, or we'll have to create certain new rules which don't allow us to go back. The things, the way they flow in our life, they would have to flow differently. And that genius that benefits not just you, but the rest of the world, is born in this chaos. Even if it's not you, even if you think you're not creating it, you'll have to sway your life a little bit, and that would create that genius in your life. What happens to buildings to make them earthquake proof? They are allowed to sway a little bit. Because if they're fixed, when the earthquake hits, and it's not a when, it's a if, they would crumble if they can't sway. So in some ways, Uranus transit adds an element of flexibility in the Taurus part of our life. And it would require you to be flexible all the way till 2026 at the very least while this transit is going through. So do we sway? Do we stand still, refusing to change, refusing to make anything new, refusing to move from where we are, refusing to take in what's been given to us as a chance of a new start? Or in this moment, we can decide to something else. It's not about that other new external different person coming in your life. It's not about a new partner. It's not about new source of income. It is not about those external changes. Uranus makes you feel more of you. You're feeling more of yourself. You're feeling within your worth. You're feeling your own presence more. And that is without pretense. And that helps you create more of what you are worthy of. Now you can shove those things down your throat, because Taurus things are easy to shove down the throat, using money as an excuse, using food, using sex, using comfort, watching Netflix 24/7. You can shove it all down your throat. It's very easy to go back to inertia and ignore this feeling, ignore this impulse with Taurus. Because unfortunately, the lower manifestation of Taurus, as much as I love them, is the lays and not the ease. Or you can starve yourself for a moment to truly see what you hunger. They say you're offered the things in the categories of the ones you would never do during a Uranus transit. You would never do the things that you say, I would never do this. I'm never going to do that. I'm never going. Those things come in your life with the Uranus transit. And the message keeps repeating. It keeps coming to you till we understand our own needs fully. It almost takes the third go of Uranus on our personal planets for us to finally make the real change. And that's why it's an 18-month change for us personally. And most of these cycles, Uranus usually, with the current cycle that it's following, it goes direct in January. So it's coinciding with the new year. It takes the third go. We will go through the anxiety to excitement to, oh no, what did I do, to disillusionment, to understanding, to finally making the right changes till January. From now to September will be external changes, followed by internal retrospection and reconsideration of those changes from September to January. And then in January, we go with a new form of those shifts. In this process, we would get in touch with the most innovative, the most creative part of ourselves, even though we might feel rattled, we might feel confused. There's genius in chaos that's created. As Venus would meet Uranus on 18th of May, we would see our values shifted. We will see our styles shifted. And for many, the relationships will shift forever. Then the Mars-Uranus conjunction in July will add fire to this change. There will be disruptions. Santorini was created by earthquake of massive proportions. The most beautiful thing came out of massive destruction of what seemed like civilization at the moment. It created visual we could never imagine. It threw out the elements which we would have never been gifted with without that disruption. So in some ways, these things tell us to embrace the change. You cannot find your Santorini without your ground shaking a little bit. Once you find that you are here to discover something different, you're not going to run from it. Don't run from it by shoving things down your throat, because eating the entire fridge is usually the tendency when something like this nervy hits us. And I'm not trying to create a situation that this is going to happen in May. This is a process we have been going through. This is a process for many of you which has been manifesting probably for the last 1 year. But Jupiter gives you the faith to go through it. It's trying to introduce you to you. The you that is very, very, very deeply buried. And it screams once in a while, and it does manifest as a malaise that you do not know how to heal. That's what I have for you today. My name is Charu, and I hope to be here again. This is a reading that I'm doing after a long time. I have not been able to write for the last couple of months due to personal reasons. I hope to continue again. If you have been listening to me till the end, thank you very much for your time, and thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you again. Bye.